The sophomore quarterback drops back, floats into the end zone, and it's intercepted. Brisker! Wow! Brisker! What a game! Penn State!
Hello and welcome to Trading Twos, a Penn State football podcast. I am Ryan Parsons. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Will Pegler. And Will, we're making it through the week one way or another.
We're making it through, man. Good to see you as always. Checking back in. The sun rose again on Sunday morning and on Monday morning, and we're plugging along here. There's still Penn State football to watch. I think to our point at the end of last week, still a lot of discourse to have discourse about. You know what I mean? Like Penn State is the subject of national media. There's a lot being said, a lot of takes being fired off at the local beat level. James has met with the media 3 times now since the Oregon loss, obviously right after on Saturday night, and then his usual Monday presser and post-practice on Wednesday. So yeah, man, a lot to kind of react to and still talk about with Oregon. I think before we get into UCLA, frankly, there's not a lot to say about UCLA, so I think there's still some stuff to unpack. So where do you want to start with leftover Oregon thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, what you said about the takes is so true. Like, it feels like we've just lost contain on Penn State. Like, Penn State's just kind of become almost a punchline now in a lot of ways. But I think, I know we kind of came away Sunday with like a positive mindset. I don't know if I'm like walking that back yet, but you know, I think I was giving myself something to hang on to, and I still do agree with everything we said. But you know, as the dust has settled a little bit, kind of just thinking about everything, and I guess we got to give credit to Oregon first. Like, I think a lot of Sunday we spent talking about how like Penn State failed and all that stuff, but Oregon could be a damn good football team. Like, they're still number 1 in SB plus, and James has kind of been doing the whole message about, you know, Ohio State lost to Oregon last year early, and then they had that gut punch at the end of the year to Michigan. So James is kind of like his whole thing is like, well, Ohio State won the national championship. I mean, do you buy that? Do you think that's possible for Penn State?
Well, there's a big difference between where Ohio State, the perception around Ohio State last year, even after the Oregon loss, and the current perception around Penn State. Like that's when you and I realized that on Sunday. I feel it was after we were recording. We were like, oh my God, Ohio State lost to Oregon last year too. Like, we're saved. Like, we can still do it, which is true. Penn State can still do it. But obviously Ohio State had proven before that point that they could win big games, and Ryan Day had done that. The issue, we're still looking for James to do it. So, like, yes, he is 100% right. Like, Penn State could still go. I mean, theoretically, they could lose to Ohio State, win the other big games on the schedule, be 10-2, and still make it in. To James's point, obviously, I don't think he's banking on, you know, he's factoring in losing the Ohio State game yet. That's still one they want to win. But no, I don't think it's good that maybe internally and in the locker room, that's how they're looking at it, and using that kind of as an example, especially with Jim Knowles coming from the Ohio State staff. But I think just the overarching theme here is like, yes, that's true, but it's sort of a thought to sort of buy ourselves more time mentally or keep ourselves happy, because it's like you still got to prove that you could do it. You can lose these big games sometimes, but we'd like to see you win them sometimes too. So like that is like the rub here. And in the 12-team era, it's fun. Like, those kind of discussions are going to continue, because it's like, ooh, that's a 2-loss team, but they have these wins on their schedule, and their EP poll ranking was so high coming into the year. So it's like there's so many factors. So yeah, it like, of course that's something to consider, but doesn't change the fact that the bottom line of losing big games, I guess, is my point.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And I think if you watched that Oregon-Ohio State game last year, which also, by the way, similar to the way the Penn State game ended on an individual quarterback error, which is kind of an interesting parallel. I mean, that's like an uncommon way to end a game, but I think the level of play at last year's game might be a little bit higher than this year's. But again, I mean, it's such an apples to oranges thing where it's like, if you're to say blanketly like, oh, this Penn State team isn't as good as the Ohio State team last year. Like, this is an unfair comparison to make. I don't think you can say that yet. Like, the jury still is really out on both teams. I mean,
Yeah.
So yeah, wait and see. I hope people in the locker room are buying what James is saying around that, and I think it's also helpful that Knowles is in the building. I think a lot of people reported kind of like a change of tone from him this week, and yeah, I mean, all you can do is hope that they kind of rally around that and become closer as a team.
Yeah, I mean, to your like for fans, it's like a coping mechanism, right? That's how it felt for you and I think, and our other Penn State friends who are fans too. Like that's kind of what that is, and the way
Nothing
we're
wrong with
looking at
that, I
it.
don't think.
What's that?
Like, I think that's fine, right? Just to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
have a like,
I didn't mean it in a bad way, but that's
no,
how I
even
put
for
it.
guys in the locker room, I think it's like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of need that.
That it's the overarching theme of like even after the Ohio State loss last year, I think Kobe King was leading the charge of we want to see these guys again, and obviously it didn't come to fruition, and that was sort of our whole point on Sunday afternoon. Hey man, maybe we'll see these guys again. That's all you could say. It's a 12-team playoff. It's more of an NFL model now, and you can afford to lose these big games. It just feels worse, and I've already said this, but it just feels worse because coming into this year, Penn State still has nothing to point to in the last 9 years in terms of, well, that's harsh, but in terms of a big top 10 win, Penn State doesn't really have anything to point to. So that is why this feels so harsh. But like in a vacuum of this 2025 season, no, a loss to Oregon was never going to crumble the season. And I think like I've seen stuff about the playoff percentages dropping way down. I mean, that stuff changes week to week. Like, yes, Penn State is in the gutter right now, but if they beat the crap out of UCLA, they're going to skyrocket back up. Like they just are because it's a reactionary week thing. So,
Or if Indiana beats Oregon next week, like Penn State will
yes.
go back up to like 80%. I'm sorry,
That's
other way around. Other way around. If Indiana loses, it'll be like they won't be factored in anymore, basically.
Yeah, and we can talk about that more. I mean, that's a big game for a lot of reasons next week, and we can talk about that. But yes, there's so many there's other games, other teams. There's all this transitive property stuff to use one of your phrases. In terms of analyzing the game itself, though, and stuff that is unpacked, not that we're huge X's and O's guys. Before we started recording, you sent a link to me of Kirk Herbstreit and Joey Galloway. We're talking to like ESPN analysts. Obviously, everybody knows Kirk. And then we're talking through Penn State's, based on the tape they had watched, what it showed in terms of Penn State's approach in these big games. I'd love to unpack that a little bit and like learn more about that because it made a lot of sense to me the way you explained it.
Yeah. Galloway was basically implying that Penn State and James Franklin's MO in these big games is to kind of feel out the opponent, like run the ball, run an offense that's very familiar for your team, but like keep the game close. And then in the fourth quarter, wait to make that big play and run away with it. Which, I mean, if you look at for however long it was like, oh, Penn State has lost to Ohio State by a combined insert however many points over the past few years. And it kind of makes sense. It's like, yeah, Penn State is in all of these games, which is cool, good for them. But if you're leaving it up to your offense or your defense to make one big play at the end of the game and it's just consistently not happening, it's like, maybe we got to change the strategy a little bit. Maybe we have to plan to get some explosive plays in the first quarter and get a lead and then protect it. I mean, even in the Ohio State game last year where they had that big pick six, and then that lead kind of just evaporated early because I don't know if they got more conservative or what it was, but it's just an interesting psychological thing to think about, I think.
Super interesting. And I think if James got asked about that, he would get maybe offended or defensive. Like, hey, we're coaching to win. Like we approach these games the way we approach them. We're coaching to win. But it almost like, and even watching it, it almost felt like, okay, when they needed to have a score and when they needed to then play catch up to Oregon, they just could do it. So like and that is what it feels like. I mean, all of these games for the most part, there were a couple blowouts in 2023 and there's a couple others sprinkled in there, but they're largely big plays like this at the end that they don't have, and they're kind of banking on that. Like, who's to say they just go out there and don't play scared or hesitant, to your point, and just go and rip it and take a 20-point lead? I mean, I know it's not that simple, but The offense they went down 14 points and they immediately looked competent and were doing things they hadn't done all game. Obviously the O-line started to get traction and the run game started to look better. That's obviously they were trying to have a good run game the whole game, and that took a while to establish. So that's a factor. But it does feel like the coaching or the approach, like something needs to flip on earlier, or I don't really know. But does that, like that ending and like what Galloway and Herbstreit said, like Penn State putting themselves in a position to win it at the end and the offense having the ability to do that, how much do you cling on to that, fourth quarter comeback of the offense, the overtime run, albeit with the interception at the end. But other than that, how much do you think fans should cling on to that as a, not motivation, as a
Silver
sign
lining.
of good things to come for the offense. There's a silver lining.
Yeah. God, it is so interesting because we've just been talking about this all year about how when Drew is behind or when Penn State is behind, that's when they play their best football. So it's like, it sounds so stupid, but it's like maybe they can just turn it on when they want to, and they'd rather get into these dogfights instead. So it's like, it's uncanny. It really is. I mean, especially at the end of this game, like the offense looked amazing, and it did start with the run game, I think, and it started with Katron, and it started with the offensive line kind of getting into a rhythm. Part of me is like, who's to say that just isn't how things go the rest of the year? I mean, I think that's a pretty broad jump to make, but I mean, Oregon's one of the best defenses in the country, and I mean, Lanning is an ex-defensive coordinator. They really, like, they took him to the fucking shed. Like, they like went to work on them out of nowhere. So it's like, I'm not saying something randomly clicked, but there's probably a lot of good tape in there for Penn State to watch and learn off of. So, maybe when we're in the Ohio State game and it's the third quarter, you can kind of dig deep and go back to that feeling. I don't know. It's hard to say, but like, yeah, I mean, part of me wants to say they kind of had something click there in the fourth quarter.
And they did. That's true. I mean, they scored quickly on 2 possessions right in a row. James mentioned this in his press conference, but when Drew uses his feet and can run, that's a huge tool. He did it.
He looked unstoppable
in the game. He did it in a couple of other games last year where it's like, wow. And that actually was something you and I had highlighted. I think against Nova, he looked super hesitant to run the ball and was playing tight. So maybe that is, if you're a positive fan, that's what you're saying. Maybe this unlocks something in Drew, because that offense that we saw in the fourth quarter paired with a rested defense is one of the best teams in the country. Like, it just is if you put that together. And we've known that. Like, we've known the potential this team has with all the talent coming back. So that's nothing new to us. I think we just finally saw it. So if you're a positive fan, that's kind of what you have to take away. The negative fan, though, it's like, why should you believe in Drew and Nick to start to look good and settle in? Because they did it, like Drew did it at the end of the fourth quarter, but he hasn't shown that he can do it consistently, and obviously those questions remain. So it's this weird kind of pinball back and forth thing that I feel like I've been thinking about all week since the loss. Like, what version are we going to see? It is such a big drop off one way or the other. So that is really just the scary thing. It's just inconsistency, and that's a lot of what James said on Monday and on Wednesday last night.
Yeah, that's his new favorite word, I think. Inconsistent. Yeah. I mean, again, I feel like we're just beating a horse that's been dead for 10 years at this point, but like, it's such a mental thing for Drew and Nick, I think. Like, I think for them coming back for this third year, knowing the expectations, like knowing everything has to go right, has kind of locked them up a little bit instead of freeing them up. Like, you got to feel like they're in the whiteout, the weight of the world is on your shoulders a little bit. Like, you got all these people screaming at you and cheering you on, but like at the back of your head, you're so scared of letting them down, knowing how high the expectations are, knowing how you're supposed to take a big step. Where it was, after Drew's first year, he looked, okay, a lot of potential. And then I think took a step last year, especially running the ball as a leader. And then it's kind of flatlined this year so far.
Yeah.
So you have to think it's a mental thing. And again, like they turned it off in the fourth quarter. I mean, not Nick as much as Drew, but they kind of just locked in. I mean, is that it? Like, do you just have to like lock in when it matters the most?
We've said that before earlier this year. Like, just turn your brain off. K-Tron's been doing it.
It's like,
I don't know. If
I mean, yeah.
Like, and I do actually. I watched the highlights back, like the extended or NBC highlights, the broadcast, which sucked. Watched the interception a lot. It was pretty bad. Nick did have a couple of nice plays. He did. So I don't want to say that there's like absolutely nothing to hold on to with him. Drew hit him on a short pass, and somehow, like, it was like it was like a third and long, and Nick made it like a third and short, or Nick made it a fourth and short that I believe they converted, which was a really nice play. And he still has that like dog run hard, like Isaiah Pacheco, pissed off at the ground, stop. Like, he still has that. So I don't know, man. I still believe that in particular that's inside of him. We saw Drew does have it inside of him on a couple of those throws. And I think the offensive line, they had some really great pushes at the end of the game. The fourth and short that they converted on one of the last drives, Nick was stopped short, and then I think it was Luke Reynolds, shoved him to get the first down. So there's moments to cling to here, and it just comes down to the biggest ones, rather than a lot of different small ones that, maybe Penn State does convert on and they work their way up to, and then at the very biggest, they just crumple. So, yeah, it's just a consistency thing. It's James's favorite word. I feel like that's what he said all week. I will say, in terms of those very small moments, and this is sort of similar to what you were like, we have to bring this up, even though it doesn't, like, we're not making excuses. We just have to bring it up. The ball never falls Penn State's way. Ever. We talked about the I forget the word you used, but it was great. The disgusting reversal. You didn't use that, but it was
Abhorrent.
Yeah, abhorrent. That was ridiculous. That wasn't even a ball. Like, the ball did break Penn State's way there, and for some reason, I still don't get how that call got reversed. James said he never got an explanation, so there's that. But then there were a couple plays. Penn State had an interception in their arms earlier in the game, and I forget which DB it was. I think it was probably AJ Harris, but
I think it was, yeah.
He had the ball in his hands, and it was a tough play, but then it pops up, and then Oregon, Decorium Moore, the wide receiver, makes the catch and converts a first down. Like, that was brutal. On that final possession for Oregon, or on one of the overtime possessions, Moore put the ball on the ground, fell on it. He made a nice play, but, like, damn, that would have been great. Just would have put the game away there. And also, somehow, and this is credit to Oregon, he made a good play, but he kind of like fumbled the snap, I think, on their first touchdown in overtime, where if Penn State stopped him, they would have won. He had trouble with the snap, still somehow managed to get it off. So that's a credit to Oregon, overcoming stuff that might go wrong and not allowing it to. And that's something Penn State should probably learn from. But I did just want to bring that up. Like,
yeah,
God, it never, in 2016, it famously went Penn State's way against Ohio State, and that was pretty cool. Since then, man, they have not, in terms of big calls, 50-50 calls, or just fumbles and weird tips. I feel like Penn State never gets those. And it's easy for me as a fan to say that, like, we never get that, but damn, man, felt like it was on full display against Oregon. A couple of really mini moments that just went the other way.
Yeah, I mean, in overtime, I was just yelling at the TV, like, one time, like, let's just, like, someone fumble, like, just make a play real quick. And then when he dropped it, I freaked out, and then it just bounced right back into his arms. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to, like, forget the ones that did go our way, because,
yeah, they just did.
But also, like, I don't know, I can't think of any off the top of my head. And if so, they were in not as big of situations.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think going off of that, I do, obviously Drew's interception is what gets highlighted, and that was the moment in overtime. I do like Penn State really. They had Oregon back against the wall right after, when Penn State goes out and opens overtime with the ball first and scores. They had Oregon on fourth down, and you had brought up the fourth down conversions, and you can't blame the defense because they've been battled all night, and part of that is on the offense for just never being on the field and not giving the defense a break, so they were tired. But man, it would have been awesome to just have a defensive stop there, come up big, and put the game away that way. Obviously, it would have been awesome, but that was another opportunity for Penn State obviously they just closed out the game and they couldn't do it there. So I just wanted to bring that up as well as
Yeah.
if loss already didn't hurt enough, we had Penn State had Oregon on fourth down on that possession in overtime, and they couldn't get the stop, even though Moore fumbled the ball. So
Yeah, I actually do want to point a little bit of criticism at the defense. I know it's been like pretty untrendy just because they've kind of been the saving grace this year. And obviously the precursor here is like they were gassed at the end of the game, which is, the offense's fault. Penn State's defense on fourth downs, they have a certain percentage. Do you want to guess where they rank in the country on fourth down stops?
percentage of stops, where they rank or
Yeah,
what the percentage is?
where they rank.
Probably somewhere in the hundreds, near last, right? I mean,
115th in the country. They're letting up 69% of fourth down conversions. You want to guess what it is on third down?
can't be much better, right?
It's
40
better,
Yeah.
but it's 45th, but 9th in the Big Ten. They're giving up 34% of third down conversions. It's kind of like a bend and then break thing, which is not what you want to see. It's usually the bend don't break. And it felt like they were really getting, especially in this game in particular, we're getting Oregon off schedule on the early downs and then just giving up a chunk play on third and fourth down, especially like it felt like everyone at the stadium knew that Dante Moore was just going to run it up the gut a few times and just they couldn't stop it. And then they scored on that one shovel pass in the first overtime. Felt just a little bit disappointing, given how much we hyped the defense up, that, you want to put the hate onto the offense for not converting and for Drew throwing the interception. But like, I don't know. I think they had fourth down there at a point to win the game in overtime and just,
Fourth and short, but
they had one play to win the game, just like Drew did, and didn't let it happen. So
you're right. I mean, that's fair. I like Dante Moore is certainly, he's one of those guys you're going to look back on as like a classic, frustrating college football quarterback to play against. He kind of reminded me of JT Barrett with the one glove on his left hand and like being so amazing at the QB draw play and just like figuring out how to get those 3 yards and keep the drive rolling. There were also a few where he'd roll out and, he'd be in the pocket or out of the pocket for like 5 or 10 seconds and the DBs aren't going to hold up long enough. Then I obviously got held a couple of times to help that out. So thanks, refs. But still, there were a couple of those and the D-line didn't get to him and he was able to just lob it down the sideline to a wide open guy and keep the drive rolling. So yeah, I mean, that hurt too. So it should be brought up. Despite how well the defense played and how much credit Knowles deserves and Deny deserves and the linebackers deserve, they had chances to win the game too. And to your point earlier about Penn State playing for the moments, like knowing they're going to get into those situations, they haven't found a way to do it on either side of the ball. So yeah,
it's well said.
It's just brutal. It's really, really brutal. Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, can I do one more criticism? I think the offensive line is not playing well.
That James said inconsistent. That's just bad. But yeah, go on. Yeah.
Tyler Donahue put this out. Shout out Tyler Donahue. PFF said that Drew Eller faced pressure on 48% of his dropbacks in the Oregon game. The highest mark the rest of the year was 20% against Nevada. So more than double the pressure he's faced all year. On the rewatch, there were a lot of plays that just felt like if he had an extra tick, someone was about to get open, which, I think maybe if Andy and James see that the offensive line is struggling, you call some plays where there's maybe shorter reads or little dump offs or something. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend I know like offensive line blocking schemes and what's going right, but like, they failed to live up to, I think, some of the high expectations where James was saying preseason that like they have so many good players, they don't know who to start.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably, I guess, along with the running backs on the offensive side of the ball, I think the O-line was the most hyped up position group. I think James literally said it's the best group he's had, which is biting him in the ass now a little bit. I mean, yeah, they have 7 guys that on a whole, or not on a whole, independently, you look at these guys and it's like, there's probably multiple NFL offensive linemen on this team. Cooper Cousins was a really, really highly recruited guy. Obviously, you got Nick Dawkins, who's like the heart and soul of the team, really, at center. So it's hard, Anthony Donko. So it's hard to, you can go on, and it's hard to pick out why, because, you and I aren't experts. Troutwine's supposed to be one of the best O-line coaches in the country. He's transformed this group. But yeah, and one thing I've noticed is in terms of the coaches setting them up for success, I don't know if I've said this on the air yet. I hate when they run it off of tempo. I hate it. I hate it. I don't think it's worked once. And I could be wrong, but they run up. I feel like a couple times in the Oregon game, Nick would pick up like 4 or 5 yards on first down. It's like, okay, cool. And then they sprint up to the line and they lose it all back. Because it's not even a Nick's fault. Mateo, the Oregon DN, would just be in the backfield and tackle him. So I don't know what that's about. You'd think the O-line would be the group that would struggle most with tempo because it's all the big boys. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But geez, I feel like those plays in particular, they're such backbreakers, obviously for drives, but then mentally, I don't know why. If we're sprinting up to the line and the O-line is gas, and then they just let up a 4-yard loss, that's not gonna inspire them
over
the rest of the drive. You know what I mean? So that's a very, very specific detail. On the whole, they've played poorly, or you're right, and it's true. But that's one where I've honestly been kind of confused, like why we keep seeing that happening, because I have not felt like they've had a lot of success out of that package. I know that's totally a Kotelnicki trademark thing, and it's fun, but don't love that specifically. And James has said they've been inconsistent. I think they've just been bad. If you're inconsistent as an offensive line, you're just bad, right? I mean, you have to be.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I mean, that point against tempo is so accurate. I mean, like traditionally, you think if you're running tempo, you want to throw the ball because it's so hard to line up all of those schemes and blocking assignments, especially with tight ends, and especially when you have younger tight ends in the field. Sometimes it's like, the defense sees you running it and they just crash all the linebackers, and you got too many guys too fast. Where if you're throwing the ball, they're probably not going to get as much as a pass rush if you're going tempo. So it feels like hopefully something they can learn from.
Sure.
But like when you pointed that out, I was like, holy shit! Like, it's terrible.
Yeah,
and it's a drive killer because if you're losing yard on second down, that's it. You're at a bad spot.
And they couldn't afford to get behind the sticks because of the offensive line, because you get in the third and long situations. And most occasions Drew had to rush his passes, and he obviously missed a couple throws. He did, but there were multiple occasions where he'd had to like hustle to get it out, and the wide receiver hadn't even gotten into their break yet or whatever route they're running. So a lot of it does circle back to the offensive line. I mean, they have to be talked about here. I mean, football, it's an 11 man team on the field, and if one group isn't doing their job, it kind of all falls apart, which is, obvious take of the day. But it's interesting. It's weird. I was getting flashbacks to the 2021 offense. Oh, we'll use, like, they were literally saying publicly, like, the bubble screen to Parker Washington or Jahan is the run game, because Noah Cain and Devin Ford and whoever the hell else was on that team couldn't get anything going. Which feels crazy to say. Nick Singleton is going into the season was considered to be like a top draft pick in terms of running backs. I don't know, man. I don't know what. We can talk more about it in talking about the UCLA game, but I don't know if it's an opportunity to force the ball to Nick again and try to get him rolling, because it seems to not matter how many carries Katron gets. He just gets into a flow and does his thing, which he did against Oregon. He had his fourth boom on the year. Shout out, another touchdown. But anyway, that was a long segment, but O-line's got to be the other. There's a million position groups to highlight after the Oregon loss, but geez, they're concerning based on the season expectations.
Well, I think the good part of that is it should be fixable. Like, if it's just scheme stuff, I don't think it's like the end of the season if the O-line is bad. Like, I think clearly the talent is there, so it might just be something that they can fix between the lines a little bit. And then with the bye week coming up, maybe they do force it to Nick, or maybe they get Pena and Kyron Hudson, Devontae Ross especially, involved with some of those jet sweeps and short passes, which like worked very well against Oregon, especially when they were down and out towards the end of the game. So A lot going on.
A lot going on. A lot going on. Should we kind of close the book on Oregon with some press conference updates from James, or did you have anything else football wise?
No. Um, I think we just gotta. I think we can go over to Tony Rojas right now. That was kind
Cool.
of the big takeaway from the presser this week, and maybe we should have led with it. But like Tony Rojas is out for the season. It's just like a brutal, brutal blow. He was playing through a shoulder injury all of last year. Got it cleaned up over the offseason, and then just immediately gets hurt again. Not during a game, even during practice, is just such a brutal blow for him and a brutal blow for the defense. I mean, what was your first reaction to that?
It sucks. I think the video of him and Amari Campbell coming off the field against Oregon, and they were trying to get consoled, and they were just pissed off after leaving it all out there, kind of jumped to mind right away, because that was one of the visuals that stuck out with me after that loss. So thought about that and how well he played against Oregon, how he was in on like every play and was a bright spot for the team. So one of your bright spots in a loss gets hurt 3 days later out for the year. That's, not exactly what you want, not ideal. My other thought was in the preseason, it was Jim Knowles had said he feels good about his 3 starting linebackers in DeLuca, Rojas, and Campbell. But the guys behind them need to prove themselves. I don't think we got any follow up there. So hopefully they prove themselves and somebody's ready to start, because that could be a really big issue here
Yeah.
against some other good Big Ten offenses later on this year.
I mean, at this point, you just got to be so thankful that they did bring in Campbell after the Tamir Robinson transfer, because, like, I mean, they would be in such a bad spot without him. So, I mean, yeah, linebacker depth was highlighted preseason. I mean, between that and defensive tackle were kind of the two, like, thinnest groups. And the counter argument was like, oh, Penn State places 4-2-5. It's okay. They only have 2 guys on the field. But, I mean, they've been putting 3 on the field pretty often, I feel like. So yeah, DeLuca will just fill into that will spot. The way I have the 2 deep right now is I think it's Amari Campbell starting at Mike with Anthony Specca behind him, and then DeLuca will be at the will with Keon Wiley behind him. It's tough. There was 2 other guys that James mentioned at his presser who were Alex Tash and Cam Smith, who are both true freshmen who might need to be greenlit now. Tash was solid recruit, but he had 2 shoulder surgeries in high school, which were, pretty tough to see for someone before they turned 18. And then Cam Smith is out of St. Joe's, which is kind of a Philly NFL powerhouse creating high school. I was big on him in high school, but he's only 6 foot, so he's kind of the Amari Campbell size. He came in at 200 pounds. He's put on 16, so he's up to 216 now, but still a little undersized. I mean, those guys might have bright futures at Penn State, but I think you kind of got to hope they don't need to play meaningful roles down the stretch.
Scary anytime you think about true freshmen stepping in and playing meaningful football. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. They have so many linebackers listed. Like, I'd be interested to see what Keon Wiley can do. I feel like that's a guy they talked about a lot. He played a bit of a role last year, I would have thought, because I know his name and I remember him making plays. Yeah, man, at least it's UCLA who's in the cellar, in the basement of the Big Ten right now, and then Northwestern is right alongside them. So at least, and then a bye week. So there's a couple weeks here to get settled in, and that's still relatively quick. They're going to have to settle in, and it just sucks. You feel bad for Rojas, but then also you go into the logistics of it, and it's like, geez, we got to figure something out quick, which is scary.
I think Specca filling in behind Amari is like, Penn State actually put him on the field in overtime against Oregon, which is super interesting. He only played 2 snaps, and one of them was the most important snaps of the game, which I was kind of puzzled by in real time. And he actually whiffed on the tackle and allowed Oregon to score on like a shovel pass, which is like not very reassuring. But I think the fact they put him on the field means that, like, even before Tony got hurt, they had some confidence in him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. Like, it's going to be tough. So yeah, your point about Keon Wiley, I think is a good one.
Him, Dakari
'Cause
Nelson. I mean, there are guys, right? There are names
yeah,
that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're right. And DeLuca just kind of is what he is. I mean, he's someone that if he was, pre NIL era was your third running back, or I'm sorry, your third linebacker or whatever, you're pretty happy. Standard's been raised a little bit, and he's a super senior and is what he is at this point. Yeah, kind of bad vibes.
It sucks. We had started to hear rumors about it yesterday, and then obviously James confirmed it at practice. It sucks, man. He's one of my favorite players to watch on the defense. Amari Campbell was becoming one of mine too. I think I had said that, but Rojas is just the man. He had that play in the SMU game, obviously, which was sick. So a lot of like memorable moments already. Yeah, and you hope he can. I mean, this is a cliche, but you hope he can like add value in practice. And I mean, he's clearly a smart football player, so add value in that way and kind of be a guy for the guys to rally around. But we'll
Yeah,
see. I hope that's something to look out for against UCLA. Obviously, UCLA is not a very telling opponent. They just fired their offensive coordinator. I think James has said he hasn't gone into a game with that much coaching uncertainty ever. Not
yeah,
exactly a great test, but something to look out for. 3:30 on Saturday.
yeah. And you saying Amari was one of your favorite players to watch this year, it's so true. He's been playing super well, and I think that's like now he's gonna have a bigger role to step into. So maybe he's just gonna have like an all-star season. Um,
Be great.
yeah, James mentioned like at his presser, he was like, hopefully they can rally around Tony, and it's like think of how many times an athlete's gone down, and then the team has rallied around that guy to go on a run. I mean, the obvious answer I think of is Carson Wentz going down and then Nick Foles coming in and winning the Super Bowl. Obviously, nowhere near that scale here, but
Uh, the
maybe Anthony Specca is Nick Foles.
the 2016 season, they famously had, I think it was 2016. They famously had a ton of Penn State famously had a ton of linebacker injuries. Naeem Wortman-White was a guy, and a million other dudes went down and got hurt, and they just kept putting backups in, and they just kept performing. It's LBU, man. Maybe it's just the aura of the position is going to be fine. You got Dan Connor as the position coach. Like, screw it. Let's just ball out still and do it for Tony.
There's something to be said about that. I think like
Yeah.
those guys are probably real. I mean, they're definitely like very sad for Tony, but they're probably like, I'm gonna go like make this guy proud. I'm gonna step up and like
Yeah, it's
ball
an
for him.
opportunity. It's an opportunity for sure.
Anything else from James's presser you wanted to touch on? I mean, my big thing was just like he seemed kind of sad, which was
Yeah,
kind of
dude.
weird.
They asked him. I think it was like Ali Barubi or somebody on the beat was like, "Oh, is it a good time to have a road trip?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's a good time to get out of town." It's like, yeah, you do. You know, that's why you make the big bucks. But like, people literally, like, obviously after the game, people on the sidelines scream at him and boo him. Like, do you think if he like went to Wegmans like and he's getting like sourdough bread, like, I think somebody would get in his face and be like, "You suck." Big
You
kid."
think James goes to Wegmans?
No, I'm just saying, like, he can't.
Yeah, I mean,
Can't.
he goes on that walk every day. Like, I'm sure some student has been like,
Yeah.
"You blew it again," or like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
like that's bad vibes. I
something
mean,
probably happened if he said that.
I know, and he was prompted and asked about it, so I just wanted to bring that up. Like, yeah, he does seem sad, and I'm not crying for him. He makes a ton of money. That's why you make the big bucks. You make the big bucks because people care this much. I don't know. Don't be mean to him to his face, though. Like, that kind of sucks. It sounds like that's kind of the vibes, and he's ready to go to LA. I thought that was really funny. I also thought, I mean, he did seem sad. I thought he has been like, I don't really know what else you can say the week after or during the week after one of these big losses. He's been pretty accountable. He hasn't done any like performative Brian Kelly bash the table, grade to elite bullshit, which I've appreciated, honestly. I feel like people sometimes want that, but there's no point in that. So I did see people being like, James's press conference on Monday was totally empty, like nothing about what he's going to fix. Like, well, he's not going to tell the fans of the media what he's going to fix and what they're going to change schematically before a game. So people looking for that, you're just wrong. It's the wrong thing to criticize him on. I think he's been accountable. I think he's said the right things. From that standpoint, I have no real complaints or comments. I just wanted to mention that. I thought that was flying around Twitter. of all of the dumb, annoying takes that bother me on Twitter, that was one that I thought warranted a comment because I saw it picking up some steam, and that's just wrong.
Yeah, it's like I want to ask those people, like, if you could script what James Franklin would say to that question, like, what would you want him to say?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, oh, we're gonna is he gonna give like the blocking scheme they're gonna change?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
no.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, good question. Like against UCLA, we see this on their defense, so we're gonna like run Nick to the left a lot more. Like what?
Yeah,
It's not even
UCLA's listening.
like
Like,
what? Like everybody is. Like, what are you talking about? Um,
so, God, it feels so gross defending him like this, but like,
it does feel weird.
we've
I'm not.
lost contain.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like. I feel forced just because some of the like he deserves all the criticism for the bad top 10 record, but some of the stuff just feels like it's getting either personal or just wrong and sort of. I don't know. I've watched Penn State football for a long time. We've come a long way. Some of the stuff that's being said is just you're just wrong. Like, and also
It's
if you've
silly.
ever watched, like, what is it, your third James Franklin press conference? Like, what is he going to tell? Like, that's not how the guy operates. He's going to be accountable. He has been. So it's just wrong to say he hasn't been. Anyway, I don't know. We can talk about UCLA, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I like agree with James that it's a good time to get out of town. Like, I'm kind of just, it's so funny they're going to LA. Like, I don't know where they're staying, but like, I kind of want Drew to just like go out to Santa Monica Pier at like 11 p.m. and just like stare into the ocean for like 10 minutes and just like, I don't know, get some perspective.
I don't hate that.
I mean, they don't see the ocean like ever.
Yeah,
So I don't know, just go look into the Pacific.
he goes to Penn State and he's from Ohio, I guess, like Lake Erie, but that's not really going to get the job done in certain terms of mental clarity. No offense to, I've never been to Lake Erie. I love lakes, but ocean just brings another vibe. I don't even know what I'm saying, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, like I don't want anyone to like put a picture of, like the Hollywood sign on their Instagram story.
Ugh, yeah, I mean it's a business trip. You're not having
Yeah,
fun.
I want you to have like a very pensive experience.
Yeah,
like go
thoughtful.
get your like toes in the sand. Like I don't know, like get some street food. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Street meat. I know it's interesting. I think they're getting there on Thursday and then doing a normal Friday practice. It sounds like James is doing some recruiting, which will be criticized if they look bad early against UCLA, but that's just part of the job. I keep dropping my pen. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, in terms of what to look out for here, UCLA is 0-4 and really, really, like really bad. So it's weird. I think if it feels like it has against the other bad teams so far this year, people are going to freak out. Like if the offense looks slow, if they look hesitant, they don't have that big of a lead in the first half, like people are going to be pissed. I think they're favored by like 26 points. I will say they've done a really good job since probably not since the famous namesake of our podcast loss against Illinois. Knock on wood, they've done a really good job not letting these things snowball, which would be really cool to just see that continue on and just dominate UCLA right out of the gate. I don't know if that will happen, but obviously you got to hope for it and back James on that one. Whatever their process is, it has largely worked. Flushing the loss, beat the crap out of UCLA, remind people, we're still a top 10 team.
Yeah, I mean the snowballing losses thing was like the number one criticism of James up until 2022, and then he kind of cleared that hurdle, and it's like, yeah, I mean he can't beat these big teams anymore, but like let's not forget that used to be the problem, and like that was a lot worse. Let's make sure that is actually in the rearview mirror here. Don't want an Illinois situation. Don't want a 2019 Minnesota situation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want that 2017 Michigan State situation.
Yeah.
So
this one.
Let's make sure that's actually not the case anymore.
I will say, I mean, in terms of having more to lose, Penn State obviously has a lot more to lose than these UCLA guys. They've had like a million coaching changes. Obviously, Deshaun Foster's out. Their OC got fired like 2 days ago. So it's a mess over there. So those guys have nothing to lose. So they might just go out there and play hard and hopefully not. But that's got to be what James is telling the guys in terms of bulletin board. Like, look, these guys have nothing to lose. They want to just embarrass you. It is going to be a sleepy, like, I don't think anybody goes to the UCLA games. So it's going to be kind of a sleepy environment. So it does feel kind of trappy. So just
for sure,
don't even let that become a thing. The country will be, if the scoreboard looks bad in the first quarter, everybody's going to start talking about it. And I'd rather not have to deal with that. James. So let's not let it happen.
Yeah, I mean, last year they only won by 2 scores, I think. Like that was low key
It was
a closer game than it should have been.
it
So
was.
um I'm so over the like freaking out about the offense looking bad thing. Like if that happens again on Saturday, I'm just gonna be like sad. Because it's like, yeah, we know they kind of suck
I know.
at this point. Like the first 3 games, it was like a cause for concern, but like we saw how Oregon went, so that's just how it is at this point.
Fact.
And we're gonna be hoping they're improving, but like, come on.
It sucks because if they do, they're in this like just crappy spot, and I feel for them in that way. Like if Nick looks awesome, or if Drew looks awesome, people still aren't going to be exceedingly positive about it because you can just say it's UCLA. So it's kind of like a lose-lose situation. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if Nick runs for 200 yards, of course I'll be fired up, and I don't think that's going to happen. But of course I'll be fired up and pumped. But it's still like take it with a grain of salt. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation now, which really sucks.
Yeah, UCLA, I mean, specifically talking about Nick, I think they're giving up like 250 rushing yards a game, which is ludicrous. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe do that. Maybe match that.
It'd be great. I think we're like what you said it or I said it. We're 26-point favorites, 26 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's cover.
Should we all take that bet? Not actually.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't
like-
done it yet this year.
We'll do that. Let's cover the spread. That's my thing. Penn State's going to cover the spread this weekend.
On it. I mean, they haven't yet this year, so like it's probably like a sucker line. Like it's probably like, oh, like these guys don't cover.
Exactly. So let's win by 30, 40. Get out of there. Play Northwestern next weekend. Go 1-0. Look, I get it. Like this is not. You can tell you and I like the listeners can probably tell you and I don't have a lot to say in this game. I get it.
You don't follow UCLA football, dude?
The build up to the Oregon game and then the emotional letdown that ensued there, it's tough. It's tough to get up for a 3:30 kick at an empty Rose Bowl against UCLA, an 0-4 football team that doesn't have a coaching staff. But I'm gonna. And by Saturday, you better believe I'm gonna be like, let's go. Drew's gonna ball out. Like, so it's college football, man. Let's not take this for granted. It's a beautiful October week. Let's not take it for granted. Let's enjoy the game. Let's tweet about it. Let's get the discourse going. And speaking of that, are there any other games you're looking at this weekend outside of Penn State? I don't even know, honestly.
Yeah, the Phillies playing the Dodgers. No, man. I mean, before we move on to that,
Sorry, yeah.
No, I just want to clean up what you just said about like it being such a sleepy game. Like having this and then Northwestern and then a bye is like, all right, we're in like preseason 2.0 again, which like sucks after the Oregon game. But I mean, it comes at a good time, I think. Yeah, it's games I'm watching this weekend. Like there honestly aren't a lot of good ones. To be honest, it's not a good slate.
There are.
Miami, Florida State is like the best game, I think.
Yeah.
Miami losing would be helpful just for our playoff odds should we lose a second or even a third game. So that's kind of the big thing. Some people are talking about Minnesota, Ohio State, but it's like
get real.
I don't know. What are you watching this week besides the Yankees?
Wisconsin, go Yankees against the Sox tonight. Hopefully, I got more baseball to watch as well. And there's a lot of like classic, like Wisconsin, Michigan is kind of a classic Big Ten game. Michigan's 3-1. Wisconsin's 2-2. I don't think Wisconsin has looked great up to this point, but maybe they caused some trouble. Michigan's favored by 17.5 points, so probably not. Either I'll tune into that. Clemson UNC, hilarious game.
I didn't see that.
Dabo, I'll tell you what. You're a Penn State fan. Hey, be glad our quarterback isn't Katie Klubnik and our head coach isn't Dabo Swinney right now, okay? Because if you think James isn't being accountable or being annoying to the media, go over, check out what's happening in South Carolina right now with our boy Tom Allen who moved to Hilton Head. Seriously, check in on that.
Facts.
Well, a little perspective check for you guys because they might lose to the Bill Belichick-led Tar Heels or Jordan Hudson-led Tar Heels. Going off the rails here.
That's so true. Like,
yeah.
Who has it better than us?
Oh, yeah, I hate that saying because of Harbaugh, but it's true. Be appreciative be appreciative of what you have here. Let's go. Beat UCLA. Cover the spread.
Cover the spread. That should be our thing. Cover the spread.
Cover the spread.
Yeah, 25.
Yep, and Vandy will be cool. That's this weekend.
Oh, yep. Yep. DeBoer revenge game.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, right? I mean, they beat Georgia. Talk about a team. I mean, talk about Georgia can't beat Bama, so that sucks too for them.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we're coming off still as James and program defenders here, but part of me is like somebody's got to do it, and I'm gonna stay fired up for these games. It's really the path now starts to picking up the pieces, getting the linebacker core ready, getting the offense starting to look better for a trip to Kinnick. Really is the next sort of hurdle. If you're not worried about UCLA and Northwestern, which probably a lot of the fan base isn't. You should be though, because we got to go 1-0 every week. But I think Kinnick is really, really the next thing, that's going to be fun and scary.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many like random games Penn State was in last year that like you weren't expecting, like the Minnesota USC game. So, be prepared. Any given Saturday, shit can happen. So, yeah, let's just continue carrying water for James and defending the program unnecessarily. Let's be those guys. I don't really care.
Me neither.
I'll be those assholes. Yeah.
That is what it is. Yeah.
Anything else? Did you want to talk about Nico?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, we're at like
we
an
could
hour.
just not.
I told Ryan before we recorded, I saw a stray clip that somebody said Penn State would be better off with Nico Iamaleava as quarterback rather than Drew. And I don't think Nico has had a bad year despite UCLA being 0-4 after all like the transfer saga with Tennessee. Come on, man. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And people are already saying like, oh, Drew can't win the big one. He's proven that he can't. Can Nico? Like, I'm not subscribing to that. I don't even want to bring up the Bo thing either, but now we're really going off the rails. But yeah, I saw that take and I didn't like it. And it was one of the many takes that was like people get to say that stuff after you lose, but I'm ready to get back on the tracks here and just win. At least stop hearing a little bit of that noise. Anyway, that Nico take was probably at the top of the list, but we didn't need too much.
Beyond happy Drew was our quarterback instead of Nico. I mean, also just because of he's our guy. Was born and raised in the Penn State program, so I mean, not actually born, but like his college career. So happy to have someone who's like a Nittany Lion through and through instead of like a mercenary who's like maybe marginally better, but he's actually not.
Facts, dude. Facts. God, we don't win big game. I don't know.
It's gotta happen.
Oh,
we're like going crazy.
I'm not being serious. I'm not being like performative. Like we're just talking. Like we do feel Ryan and I do feel this way. Like we gotta back the guys, but getting hard.
But like it's like getting really tough. We're like making like a lot of excuses that are like backed by like maybe some real analysis.
I don't know if it's even excuses. I mean, we're saying
we're being fair.
We're being fair.
Yeah,
we're being firm but fair or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that a saying? I don't know.
Isn't it like, yeah, I'm being like critical, but I don't know. We didn't go to journalism school. Oh wait, we did. That's it, right?
I think that's it, man. Okay, another fun one. I think we didn't have we didn't really go through our props or anything, but we can touch base on that maybe post UCLA. I feel like there was still so much to clean up this week. So maybe back to assuming all goes well in LA this weekend, we get back a little bit to our regularly scheduled programming and start to build our way up to another big game here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very well said. Well, cool. Got a lot of good feedback from the Oregon pod, so appreciate you guys listening to that. We love our listeners. We love the Trading Tubes Army. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. Like I always say, go follow on Spotify and YouTube or Apple or wherever you're doing podcasts. Appreciate all the engagement we get, and give us a follow on X, the Everything app at Trading Tubes PSU, and we'll see you for a little bit of a UCLA recap here this weekend.
Thanks, guys.